Skipping a change risk assessment is one of the biggest mistakes that we see project, program, and change managers make. In this video, I will show you how a change risk assessment helps you avoid costly setbacks and boost your chances of success. When doing a project risk assessment, there is one key thing to keep in mind, and that is the overall project risk score. On my screen, our example, you will see that this project has a mid-level risk score. This overall project risk score is actually an average of 3 assessments that project and change managers need to do to identify the overall risk level of their project. For example, stage 1, there are some series of activities that need to be done. In our example, stage 1 has a low risk score. Stage 2 has a mid risk score, and stage 3 has a very high score. On average, all 3 stages are averaging a mid project risk score. And when we get to the step-by-step video on how you do a project risk assessment, we will go over what you need to do during each of these 3 stages. What is a change risk assessment, and why is it important to know the real definition? A change risk assessment is a structured process used to identify, analyze, and mitigate potential risk associated with organizational change. And that is what you see on my screen with the 3 stages. For stage 1, which is the readiness and assessment stage, you have 7 assessment categories that need to be completed. One category assesses completion of project documentation. Another one assesses completion of goals and metrics. And there are other categories down here. Let us take a look at one of these categories, which is the project documentation. For this one, there are 6 questions that you have to answer yes or no to. 3 of the questions are for project management readiness. For example, has a project charter or project documentation that outline key objectives, goals, benefits, and driving factors for the project being completed, yes or no? In this case, we have yes. It could also have been a no. Has a clearly defined project timeline been completed? As part of our example, we have a yes, but what if it was a no? Let me go ahead and click no. You notice how that category risk score has now changed to mid. Here's another question. Has a project documentation been made accessible to other team members? Yes. What if that was a no? Then this hasn't changed yet because we are looking at the average. There are change management readiness questions that also need to be answered, yes or no. If we make all of this yes, then that project documentation category is now at a very high risk. And you can see the power of doing this assessment. It basically lets you know there are some activities that you have to do as a project or change manager that either have been done or they haven't been done. And if they have not been done, you should make sure you put them on your radar to get them done. Stage 2 is where you are planning the project and also rolling out the changes. We call stage 2 planning and deployment stage. For stage 2, there are 7 categories. Each category has 6 questions that you have to answer yes or no to in order to get the score for that particular category. for that particular stage. Stage 3 also has categories, and each category has 6 questions that you have to answer a yes or a no on whether that activity has been completed. And this is a really simple process, really. Starting from stage 1, you just go down the list and answer, you read the question and then you answer yes or no. You can also invite stakeholders to respond to this question. And within 30 minutes or 60 minutes, you should be done with all 3 stages, which will now derive your overall project risk. It is this overall project risk that you communicate to your sponsors, your executive sponsors. You communicate this to other stakeholders to give them insight into the risk level of your project. Something else you need to know is this. When conducting your risk assessment, it is a moment in time, meaning that 1 month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, you can do another project risk assessment after you have completed a lot of the activities here. And when that happens, you should expect your overall project risk to go from a high or a mid to go to a low risk. A key takeaway for you is this: the more you complete these activities, the more you get higher scores. And so when I advise my change management clients, I tell them that to increase the success of your project, you want to do a change risk assessment, because it gives you a portfolio view of all of the different activities that need to happen to increase your success. And the more you have yes, the more this overall project risk is going to eventually go to a low. So let me go ahead and continue checking yes. So in your mind, you can assume I am fast forwarding weeks and months, and that the project team and the change management team, they're completing a lot of these activities. And then I am doing a future project risk assessment. And now you will notice the risk score for this project is now a low. A change risk assessment provides decision makers, project teams, change management teams, executives, and stakeholders with the data and insights needed to make informed decisions, increase adoption, and reduce the chances of the project failing. And for today's demo, I am using the all-in-one OCM solution software for change management. The link is below. You can sign up for a free trial and actually do a risk assessment and follow along as we just did in this video for your project. But you can use any organizational change management software that your organization has subscribed to and follow along with today's session. So here is a question that your manager or your leadership or stakeholders will ask you. Here it is. Why is change risk assessment important, and why do you need to spend time doing it? Here is how to respond. The value of change risk assessment extends beyond risk avoidance. It directly impacts transformation success. Here is why it matters. Increases adoption rates by addressing employee concerns early. It improves ROI by ensuring projects are delivered on time and within budget. It reduces resistance by proactively identifying and resolving issues. It protects business continuity by anticipating disruptions before they escalate. It drives engagement by involving stakeholders in the risk mitigation process. Basically, the benefits of change risk assessments are measurable: higher success rates, smoother transitions, and stronger organizational resilience. Without an effective change risk assessment, organizations risk project delays, disengagement, and project failure. And this is what I normally tell my clients when I do organizational change management consulting to help increase adoption for transformational changes, for new software, for AI implementation, for companies that are doing M&A, for companies that are transforming their culture. I normally recommend let us start by doing a project change risk assessment. That way we can have a blueprint as to what we need to deliver over the next XYZ period. So if the project is 3 months, if the project is 6 months, if the project is 2 years, at least we have a blueprint for the key things that the project team and the change management team need to complete in order to reduce the risk level of that particular project. So here is a question for you. What are three top mistakes to avoid with change risk assessment? Don't worry, you don't really have to answer that. Let me tell you. Mistake number one: focusing only on technical risk while you are ignoring people related risk. So basically, this is incomplete risk identification. The solution is to include stakeholders from all levels to capture hidden concerns. What about mistake number two? Mistake number two is underestimating employee resistance. You assume that communication alone will eliminate pushback, but normally that is not the case. So you want to build strategies for engaging with impacted users, for gathering feedback and providing them with ongoing support and also training. A third mistake you want to avoid is lack of prioritization. And so you want to use a risk template, or you can use any change management or project management software like the OCM solution software linked below to identify those priority tasks that need to be done in order not to derail the success of your project. There are two additional bonus mistakes that I want to mention here for you to keep in mind so you don't make them. Bonus mistake: conducting risk analysis only at the start of the project. Remember what I said earlier. There are 3 stages, and you can do your first assessment during the early stage of the project for all 3 stages. And then weeks later or months later, after you have completed a lot of those activities that need to be done, then you can go back and do a follow-up project risk assessment. And then here's one more mistake that we see change managers and project managers do on a regular basis: failure to act on insights. So they are identifying risk, but not implementing mitigation plans. Okay. All right. So ask yourself this question: what is the fastest way to do change risk assessments without wasting time? Watch the next video for the 6 steps to doing change risk assessments without wasting time. See you there.